Do you want to learn effective ways to build relationships, generate sales, and grow your business from successful entrepreneurs, startups, and CEOs without listening to a long interview? If so, you've come to the right place. Gresham Harkless values your time and is ready to share with you precisely the information you're in search of. This is the I Am CEO podcast.
Hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Chris Jackson of Lionshare Partners. Chris, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Gresh, thanks for having me.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And what I wanted to do is just read a little bit more about Chris so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Chris is the founder of Lionshare Partners, a trusted financial planning firm. He draws on a decade of multidisciplinary experience to help high net worth individuals and small business owners solve their financial challenges. Prior to founding Lionshare, Chris helped manage over $300 million of individual and institutional assets and held senior roles at multiple globally recognized investment firms. As an entrepreneur, speaker, and media personality, Chris has been featured in several news outlets such as CNN, Huffington Post, Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post. He currently serves as a board member of the nonprofit Strive LA, a mini campus for Los Angeles inner city youth. He also serves as a market analyst for the iHeart radio podcast City Watch on the Air. Chris, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. So the first question I had was to hear a little bit more about what I call your CEO story and what led you to start your business.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the personal finance field for about 10 years, serving both sides on the sales and client acquisition side, all the way to the client service and delivering of the financial planning modules. And over the last couple of years, prior to me launching my firm in 2017, I didn't like the direction that I saw what was going in the industry, with a lot of private equity firms buying up investment management firms, moving the prices up, making it very tough for financial advisors to have a really healthy, engaged conversation because the book got too big to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a 2-hour face-to-face meeting with a client, you're moving it down to a 30-minute virtual conversation. You really can't go in depth and provide what you want to provide. So that kind of led me to look to alternatives in terms of what can I do with my own time, with my own abilities and skill sets. And, thankfully there was organizations out there that were helpful in providing and launching, my wealth management firm, Lionshare, to the point where now I can serve my own book of business. I can be more flexible in who I bring in. One thing that's very tough in the wealth management firm is you can find a fantastic family that can use your help, but due to some impossible hurdle or some hard hurdle, like they must have $1 million invested with you, you end up saying no and turn down some pretty good clients. And you end up accepting some clients are just chasing, a return. They're not really trying to engage with you on a personal level. They're trying to almost hope that they can roll the dice with you like a casino and get a big payout based on market returns.
That makes perfect sense. And I definitely appreciate you for, starting your own, organization, your company, because a lot of times you get to help out, which I think sometimes you sometimes forget, but you being able to do that from a Lionshare standpoint, but also from a board member as well, you really get the opportunity to make an impact.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing that's important for me is, there's one that wasn't a lot of African Americans in our field. Bottom line, that's always been an issue in the finance industry. And though there's been many programs and outreach programs, and Bank of America and Wells Fargo all have launched minority women-based programs to get more representation, there's still a huge gap there. And what makes it difficult for on the African American side is that we don't have our own unified language. If you like Latin Americans and Asian Americans, where they can consolidate into, well, I speak this language, therefore I have a stronghold on this community. Mm-hmm. For us, it's always been, for African Americans, it's always been a lack of access to prudent financial literacy and education that has led to some of the huge inequality gap. So one thing I like to do with Strive, and one thing I'm working on right now with a director and writer, Christina Cooper, is a financial literacy program called Wokeonomics, where we go into some of these underserved communities and talk to the school district and talk to some of the high performing seniors that are graduating and say, hey, this is what you're not learning in school, this is what you're not going to learn in college, but this is going to prove to be the building blocks for your success if you want to be an entrepreneur. or if you want to not go the college route.
Absolutely. No, I definitely appreciate you for doing that because, and I never even, thought about that till you mentioned that, but yes, definitely language in and of itself is definitely a unifier. So not having that unique language, I guess you can call it, can be something that, can be somewhat of a hurdle or something you just have to kind of deal with. So appreciate you for, doing that and, starting those, programs as well. And is there anything, I guess, deeper that you can kind of touch to, like if somebody is like a business owner individual is listening to this and, tell us a little bit more on how you're serving your clients and what you feel like is your secret sauce and set you apart?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what makes it me separate is I have a what I call retail and I have a full service solution. And the retail, what I'm looking to launch it's called Cash Fit University. And there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there who just want a little bit of nudge and a little bit of guidance, but they don't want a full-on relationship with me. But they want a place where they can find well-sourced material, updated material on all kinds of different financial planning topics, from college planning to tax planning to estate planning to insurance analysis. And what I want this university to be is a place where people can pick up where the public schools should really be starting and provide that full comprehensive financial planning education for yourself. And once you kind of get a sense of that basic education, then you can start asking questions in terms of, hey, do I really need to engage in a financial planner? Do I even enjoy doing this? Do I have the time, the technology, the discipline to do it myself? And from there, you can say, you know what, the retail gave me some insight, but I really want the full service. And that's when you really engage with me on a one-on-one basis. And for most clients I deal with, they'll be either small business owners, retirees. I work with a lot of attorneys and young professionals. And what I'm really trying to do is help them engage in terms of answering three basic questions. Where they are right now, what do they have, what are their incomes, where do they want to be in the future, and what are the tools and what are they willing to do to make those changes, to make that future come into fruition. And if we can't get aligned on those three, and the first one really is not much alignment, it's just your balance sheet. But the other two components, we can't really align on that. Then my job is to help you find someone that could be a good source for you on the financial planning side. Because not everyone's a good fit for me, and that's for most businesses. But the retail solution, along with the full service, that's kind of what sets me different. At least I usually try to find a way I can help you.
Nice. I definitely appreciate that. And it seems like, in this way that businesses and I guess people really have dictated this is that, a lot of times there's certain solutions that people want or they're looking for. They know kind of maybe not necessarily know exactly what they're looking for, but they might have, like you mentioned, the time to be able to do it, but they may not have the actual resources or knowledge to be able to do that. So being able to kind of fit into whatever mold somebody might have is definitely, a great example of a secret sauce and appreciate you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
No problem. And I wanted to switch gears a little bit and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but it's something that makes you more effective and efficient.
Yeah, I have a couple, but the one I like a lot is called Feedly, Feedly. And that is a way for me to consolidate all the different media sources that I'm interested in, whether real estate or economics, investment markets, trade policies, and I can take what's important and current, and then go ahead and repurpose that through my social media channels. So I don't have to spend too much time fishing through what I want to talk about. I already have these filters preset, and they do a good job of just updating me of what I can push out. Because I send out about 5 articles a day on my LinkedIn page, on Facebook, and to have it already preset in terms of how I curate that is important. And then I use another app called Buffer, where I can set out for the whole entire week those 25, 30 articles, so they're already kind of scheduled to go. And that kind of does all of my outsourcing, all of my, because again, my job is to position myself as an expert and to be kind of ahead of what's current, but also make sure I have enough content pushed out because you never know when someone's going to chime in on LinkedIn or Facebook or actually catch you on an article. So you got to be consistent, but you also got to have some compelling and interesting things so people can click on and talk to you.
Absolutely. No, I love both of those hacks just because a lot of times I usually always say the name of the game is visibility. So, being in knowing everything, but no one not knowing of you or of your organization doesn't really help out. So you kind of have to balance that both. And like you mentioned, the consistency aspect of making sure you're pushing out and having that valuable content that's being, sent out to the internet, so to speak, allows you to get that opportunity to be front of mind and be, positioned as that expert person to call and go to.
Absolutely.
Nice. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And this is a word of wisdom or piece of advice, or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
Oh, that's a good question. I would have told my younger self to remove toxic relationships earlier on. Whether that is friends that I've grown apart from, that were being leeches of your time, relationships that weren't really allowing me to perform the way I needed to perform, and I would replace those with key members that are actually going to push you and help you grow. One of the best things I did was I joined a lawyer basketball league. I'm not an attorney, but I joined a lawyer basketball league as a whim because my friend wanted me to do it. And in doing so, I made contacts with about 20 to 30 different attorneys. So when I eventually left my firm to launch my own firm, I got sued. And they were asking for a substantial amount of money. And due to the fact that I had this relationship, this network, I was able to utilize them. And I had the firepower needed to wiggle myself out of that lawsuit with ease. And if it wasn't for me to break away from my own small network and push into a larger network, I wouldn't have the capacity to actually be able to get to where I'm at now without paying that substantial amount of money. So getting rid of the toxic people in your circle and replace them with people that can actually help you have capacity to grow as a person and learn new things and keep you driven and pushed is something that I wish I could tell myself when I was 18.
Nice. I definitely appreciate you for sharing that with us, because a lot of times, and I heard a lot of different, nuggets within that really big nugget is that, a lot of times, we as people, and sometimes I start to understand this a lot more as I get older, is that, you start to grow apart from maybe who might have been your friend 10 years ago, or might have been, somebody you spent all your time with, whatever that is. And as you evolve and grow, and as you start to have different goals, you have to evolve with that, and being able to kind of, open yourself up and get out of your comfort zone to go to different, like you said, groups, or it might be a basketball league or whatever it is. It allows you other opportunities that may pay off in ways you never would have thought of in the short term.
Exactly.
Nice. And now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Chris, what does being a CEO mean to you?
For me, it's personal IP. It's the ability to, at any point in time, create intellectual property for yourself and your business. The one thing I didn't like about the wealth management firm, and even a lot of corporate America, is how they suppress your individuality. That the image has to be the company. That the image has to be what they project, and that you yourself and your individual strengths and what you provide to the community and what you provide to your clients has to be suppressed for what is the image of the company. Even if you have a better solution or a better way to deliver a service, generally that gets squashed or gets lost in red tape or lost in bureaucracy, and you never really get a chance to actually implement those things. But having your own company means you have your own personal IP. I can present what I want my story to be at all times to myself, to my clients, to the community, and that's the most important thing that you can actually, I think you could possibly do when starting your own company, is having that versus going the corporate world.
Absolutely. I appreciate that definition, and, personal IP and being able to kind of control the narrative rather than you could in other kind of avenues is definitely huge and a big part of being a CEO. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us, and that definition was spot on. So Chris, I truly appreciate your time. What I wanted to do was pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and then of course, how best they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. I would say one thing is that the word personal finance and a financial advisor, it's become a term of art. And there's a term called fiduciary, which is very important, that I want to make sure that anyone works with when they're working with a financial planner or financial advisor. is that they work with someone that is a fiduciary. And what I mean by that is someone that's not going to be selling you products like we selling you commission, that their conflict with interest, their gain in the transaction is you buying something. The gain in the transaction needs to be that they are able to transform your life through advice. And there are fee for service planners, flat fee, retainer, financial planners. And those are the ones that you should be working with, because at least you know at the beginning of the day that you're paying them for their advice. And no matter what you do outside that, they are not going to get an additional pay for that. So you know their advice is tied to what's best for you and not what's best for the wallet.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And you want somebody who is a fiduciary, correct?
Yes.
Nice. And people that want to actually reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can go to chrisojackson.com. That's CHRS letter OJACKSON.com. Or they can reach out to me at cjackson@lionsharepartners.org.
Awesome. We'll have those links and that information as well in the show notes. So Chris, I truly appreciate your time. Appreciate all the awesome things that you're doing. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Christian, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the I Am CEO podcast powered by Blue 16 Media. Tune in next time and visit us at IAM324.co. I Am CEO is not just a phrase, it's a community. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating. Grab CEO Gear at www.ceogear.co. This has been the I Am CEO podcast with Gresham Harkless. Thank you for listening.